very fortunate principal of San Marin High School. And tonight I have some guests with me to kind of give an overview and answer any questions that you might have about this new STEAM pilot idea that we've been working on. So first, we've got Nick Williams, who has been with the STEM program for many, many years and is very involved in not just our STEM and engineering to biotech pathways, but has been very instrumental in working with the team and looking at what would this look like if we added an art component. So Nick, if you want to wave to let everybody see you, there we are.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Lovely to see you all.
Thank you. Thank you. And then we've got Liz Lloyd, and Liz has been joining us as an art teacher this year and has brought a lot of enthusiasm and innovation and excitement to the idea of having a science and art pathway. And so Liz, if you want to introduce yourself, wave so everyone can see you.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here.
All right. And then finally, our wonderful STEM coordinator, Katie Stafford, who keeps us all organized and coordinated and make sure that our STEM program is running smoothly. Katie, if you want to wave and say hello.
Hi, thanks for joining us tonight.
All right. So we are very excited about this opportunity. For years, we've talked about what would it look like if we added STEAM to the STEM pathway. And I think one of the things we've heard a great deal is that we have a lot of students who would love to be a part of STEM, but also don't want to miss out on the opportunity to be a part of our arts program. And so how can we pair those two things? I think the other side of this that our staff can speak a little bit more to is the more our students are going out into the world, especially in engineering, but into those technical industries, is the need for that innovative, creative, and artistic side of their portfolio. And so we're excited to start a pilot program. We're going to do hopefully one section next year if we have enough interest to see how it goes. And we're excited that there's a group of people here with us tonight who seem like they might want to take this journey with us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Liz Lloyd, and she is going to start us off with what would a STEAM, meaning a science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, if we added that if we added in the art component, what would that look like for us? All right, Liz, over to you.
Yeah, it's super exciting to just integrate these two curriculums and kind of see what amazing things can be done when art kind of goes into STEM. So what it essentially is an integrated curriculum. What you're going to see is a 4-year program where each of their science classes is specifically paired with an art class. So it's a required science course that they have to take, but then it's a thoughtfully developed studio course that relates to the science units that are happening. And it's also collaborative. So you're going to have an increase in student group projects. You're going to have that same project-based learning and science also happening in their art elective. Also, we've got lots of research that shows that, for those careers that follow high school and college, they're going to need to have a lot of creativity to become, one of those workers that knows how to integrate the different subjects and the different fields. And so we're looking at research when we're designing these classes. And also it's all about skill building. So we're talking about visualization. We're talking about like being comfortable with the unknown. Like in science, we're talking about hypotheses and having lots of them. But then in art, we're talking about having like comfort with ambiguity, like not knowing exactly what we're looking at first, but then using our research skills and our studio skills even to investigate more and then to create a number of possibilities. So there's also technical skills in drawing and drafting, in-person chemical processes with our kiln, with ceramics. So it's really just a thoughtful pairing of science and art curriculum for 4 years. And so just looking, Katie, you want to take over and talk about what the pathways look like in visual form?
Sure. So some of you who are on here have currently accepted placement in one of our 2 current STEM pathways, either biotechnology or engineering. And so you are probably pretty familiar with the way the course progresses from 9th through 12th grade. But Liz will click on that for me and show you the biotech, and if you don't want to just do engineering too, so they're kind of side by side, that would be great. So as you'll see, you'll take one required science, actually 2 required sciences. 9th and 10th grade, they're kind of fixed classes for the first 2 years. And then for 11th and 12th grade, you'll take 1 fixed class that's required, and then you'll have a science elective. And so those are our 2 current pathways. Now, the proposed STEAM pathway, you would still be taking 1 science all 4 years, but instead of that second science class, you would be taking an art class instead. So if you're currently in biotech or engineering, your elective number wouldn't change. You would just be swapping out your second science class for a new art class. And then we can go to the next slide. And I'll have Liz go back on and kind of, this is our detailed course pairing for our STEAM pathway.
Yeah, for instance, when you're taking biology, you're also taking biological illustration, which is essentially a drawing and painting class geared towards biology. So you're doing anatomical illustrations, you're in the field doing journaling from nature and observation. I'm just looking at some of the examples we've been talking about. You're looking closely. So we know that, you're looking closely in a microscope at your microbiology cells, but then you're also learning how to look closely and record in the art class at the same time. We've also gotten 10th grade conceptual physics, which we've paired with design, so calling it art mechanics. And this is where you're using the knowledge of force and motions to inspire a kinetic sculpture. When you're talking about waves, we're talking about color theory. When you're talking about inertia and forces in architecture, we're designing something in the studio. So it's like putting, a lot of times putting theory to practice. In chemistry, we had the most fun coming up with this title for this course called Reactive Arts. So you're seeing how reactions happen and really learning like the science, what goes on in the kiln. So you're doing things like glass fusion, raku firing, large and small scale sculpture, plaster casting, all while learning about what those chemical reactions are caused by, what they're doing kind of in real time with your chemistry class. And then in senior year is where you get your choices kind of open up. As you're choosing your science elective, you're also able to choose an art elective. And those are on our next slide. So you kind of are creating a combo plan for yourself, kind of where your high school journey has taken you. And art electives that we have that you can choose from your senior year are AP art and advanced art, multimedia design, orchestra and band, your musics come in, journalism, yearbook. And then science electives being AP physics, AP bio, chemistry, marine biology, biotech, computer science, AP stats, and Cisco Academy.
So I'll go over some of the frequently asked questions. We tried to get ahead of any questions you might have, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end if people still have questions. And you can always email me too if you don't get to your questions. So I think I've already answered the first one. But yeah, how does the STEAM pathway impact my elective options? So like I said, if you're currently enrolled in another STEM pathway, either engineering or biotech, then you would be swapping your second science for an art class. If you are not currently enrolled in STEM, if you didn't apply to STEM, but you are pre-enrolled in San Marin, you're coming here next year, then one of your electives for all 4 years would be in art. So you have to consider that you would be committing to taking one art class a year for all 4 years.
Can I speak a little to how that impacts? Because I know one of the questions that comes up for those students who are not currently already in an engineering or biotech pathway, in order to be in a pathway where there's a combination, freshmen would need to have 7 periods in their day in order to get their world language. And so a lot of our students who have enrolled choose their first year of world language as their elective, regardless of a pathway or not. They can certainly take world language, but know that if you're in a pathway where 2 classes are required, like STEM, engineering, biotech, or STEAM, it'll be a 7th course. You have 7 periods in your day to have that world language. If you're already in STEM, engineering, or biotech, you already know that, and you already have your engineering biotech pathway plus world language. The world language will stay. You'll just be switching out a science elective for an art elective.
Okay, so the next question is, if I'm currently enrolled in biotech or engineering, will I lose my seat in that pathway if I enroll in STEAM? And what about kids on the wait list? Because we do have a wait list for our pathways as well. So if you would like to switch pathways and are offered placement in STEAM, you would be giving up your current seat, whether that be on the wait list or in engineering or biotech. However, we would only remove you from your current pathway or the wait list if we were certain that we have enough participants for us to launch the program. So we would never remove you and then find out we don't have enough students and then you've lost your spot. We would never move you, but you would have to make a commitment to STEAM and then know that you would be officially losing that position. Next slide, please. How do students apply? So if you want to be considered for the STEAM pathway, we're going to ask students to submit a short statement of interest. And I'll send out a Google form tomorrow to everybody who's responded to the survey that had interest in the program. And you can fill it out through this Google form. And the statement should just outline why you want to pursue this pathway and how you can contribute to the success of it. It's not going to be graded or scored. If you can click on the next one, Liz, that would be great. So this is how we select students. So we need a minimum of 30 students to commit to participate for us to run the program. So we know that's a hard number. And all NUSD academic specialty programs will require certain criteria that we have to meet. One of them is that you have to have a GPA of 2.0 or higher. Your attendance record has to be 90% attendance or higher, and you have to have a history of good citizenship, meaning you have a favorable disciplinary record. And students who meet these requirements and submit that statement of interest through the Google form will then be selected through a lottery. The deadline to apply, we have spring break coming up and we wanted to give students enough time to put a statement together. So we will ask students to submit between tomorrow when I send out the Google form and 4 p.m. on Monday. That's the end of our school day on Monday, April 17th. And I will send out the form tomorrow. And then when will we know if we are offered placement? Well, we'll draw the lottery. We expect to send the offers out Friday, April 21st. And then you'll have till Monday, April 24th to accept or decline your placement, but we would ask that you are confident in your commitment by April 24th. And anybody have questions, feel free to jump in.
I just wanted to jump in and speak from the science perspective. One of the things that I'm really excited about with this program is that we've already got kind of like a nice idea of principles of learning that we've practiced a little bit through some of our STEM pathway stuff. In terms of like a commitment to project-based hands-on learning, a belief that students really learn their best when we focus on collaboration and communication and critical thinking, and like a commitment to work-based learning opportunities and how to apply that learning into a real-world context. And one of the things that I'm really excited about that is being able to take that idea and collaborate it with an art mindset. Because I think so much of pieces like the engineering design cycle and science thinking are really enhanced by also thinking through artistic terms. It's really like two sides of the same thinking process. And so this will be another way that students can kind of demonstrate their understanding and really thrive through all of those main pieces. And I think it's also a huge piece that like a program like this is only as good as the teacher who's leading it and the teachers who are running it. And Liz Lloyd is outstanding. We haven't really been able to offer something like this until Liz came on and really has a passion and an ability to think multidisciplinarily. And we've got a few art teachers now who are really, really strong. And so being able to build on the strengths of our art teachers and the strengths of our science teachers, I think will really build complementarily into a really powerful program. So that's my 2 cents from the science perspective.
And then we do have some questions that are coming in through the chat, Katie.
Yes, I see that.
Okay, you read those.
I just noticed. So I have one question. How many students will be selected in the lottery? So we can, I believe we're just going to select 30. I assume that the students who apply, and it's really not an application, I don't know what else to call it, who put their statement of interest in, want to be in the program. So please, if you are interested in this program, then we're assuming that you would like a spot. So we will draw 30 names. And if there are other students interested, we will potentially draw more names if students decline their placement. But I think that our plan is to just draw 30 initially. How many science credits will they graduate through STEAM? So you'll have one science course per year for 4 years. So you'll have 4 years of science. You need 3 to graduate from an NUSD high school. And I believe the UCs only require 2 to apply. So you'll have 4. And there's more. Maybe this one's for Liz though. Will the art classes meet the art graduation requirement, or does the student have to take an additional art class outside of STEAM in order to meet the graduation requirement?
These would meet the art graduation requirement because the bones of them are classes that already exist. We're just customizing the exact units and the timing of the lessons to coordinate well with the science classes. So they meet the requirements.
And I do want to just mention, I noticed that our art teacher, Eleni Kelly, who's been with our program for a very long time, has jumped on. And so know that any questions about comparative between our current art program and some of these more specific that we've designed for the science STEAM pathway, please let us know, because Eleni can certainly speak to some of the history there.
And there's more questions in the chat I'm going through. Would this STEAM program fulfill the AG requirements for those who are UC bound? Yes, it would. Do the art classes fulfill UC requirements? Yes, they do. Is this a 4-year commitment from the district? If our kids enroll with this program, be solid and solvent until they graduate?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's part of why we're doing this as a pilot is we know that we can commit to a group of 30 to 32 students moving through, depending on how the interest is and how the feedback comes after this year, after a year of it, then we can decide whether or not it's worth pursuing long-term and having another class coming in or even growing the year after. But yes, at this point, there's definitely commitment to being able to do a 4-year pathway. Part of that is in its design. It's already a science class that the students are required to take, and we're just pairing that with the art elective that now is customized. They would be taking these 2 classes anyways. However, now there's a connection and they're cord so that they will be at the same group of students. They'll have a similar teacher, and it will feel a little bit more like our STEM and biotech pathways, that small learning community.
And then Jen, you might want to answer this one too. Are there more, less, or the same amount of AP classes offered through STEAM?
They would have the options to take the same number of AP courses. There's AP courses offered in all subject areas, including art and science. And so it wouldn't interfere with the students being able to choose to take those classes as they move through.
And then I can answer this one. If you apply and do not get picked, do you lose your original seat in STEM? No. We would not move anyone from their current seat unless we're sure that the program is going to run and we are sure that you have a spot in the program. My daughter wants to do STEAM. She also got into AVID. Can she do the language at College of Marin? Yes.
Yes.
So it would not be College of Marin, but yes, there would be other opportunities. And so there's many options that our students use. The answer is yes. If your schedule is impacted, it doesn't allow for all of your graduation requirements, we can always work with your counselor to find other options.
And then Liz might want to touch on this, or Eleni, can you describe what a STEAM senior capstone project would possibly be? Maybe an example of something that you envision.
And I'll just jump in. And it's going to be personal to the student. And it's going to be similar to the STEM capstones. It's going to be, and maybe Nick can talk a little bit about the capstones and what they look like and how individualized they can be. But it's going to have obviously like a science and an art element.
Yeah, so the capstone projects are really student driven and very much personalized to the student's interest. It runs through the entire senior year, and they use in engineering, the engineering design cycle, in biotech lab procedures and principles. And in art, it would be in STEAM, it would be a combination of science, technology, engineering, and art thinking skills to kind of design and implement a long-term senior project that they're working on throughout the year that ends up with some final product that they're able to present at our final senior night. So that looks very different for different students. Some students in engineering design a robot or a piece that they can, an app that they have programmed. Biotech obviously would be looking at more like experimental pieces, genetic engineering, and then STEAM would include more artistic components with that.
So I could see it being like an animated film or a large scale kinetic sculpture, or so we're looking at art investigations that are interdisciplinary and that are that are significant enough to take, that senior thought process and that time.
Well, if we could get an Alexander Calder inspired kinetic sculpture on campus, I'd be so fired up. I also just noted that a lot of these questions are about like, how does this look going forwards, right? Can I meet the college graduation requirements? And I will note that one of the things that colleges are really looking for here is a consistent commitment and an understanding of like who you are as a student. And so being able to say, I have 4 years of art and 4 years of science that are all linked together is a really powerful way of showing the commitment and the strength of a student in addition to just having good grades. So it tends to look nice on applications.
I'll add to that too, and part of why I think this capstone question and project is so important. If there's anything on a college application that you may be hearing about as students are starting to hear back from schools, they often refer to them as a passion project, but it's really, can they come to a culmination at the end of their high school and have something that has made an impact either on themselves or on the world, and how large is that impact? And so these projects, these capstones that happen at the end of our biotech and STEM engineering programs usually are a very significant display of how they've taken this learning over the course of 4 years and put it into practice and have an impact either on our own community or on their own growth as a person. And so I imagine the STEAM capstone being very similar in that regard.
The other nice piece is we're building on stuff that we've already been practicing a little bit. Now that Eleni Kelly is on here, she and I have worked together a lot, and she was really formative in building some of the projects in my engineering class, working with like using cartooning in Rube Goldberg. And now this is like the flip-flop side, using biology in art. And so it's really neat to be able to go both ways. And if you're very lucky, Eleni Kelly might agree to teach one of these classes at some point.
Okay, a couple more questions. If you apply and don't get in, would you have another chance to join next year? To be honest, we haven't really discussed it because we're just hoping to launch it in the fall. That might be a possibility. I don't want to make a commitment to that at this point, but I don't know if Principal Larson has a different take on it.
No, I would share the same. It really, this is the opportunity for us to launch this in a way that gives us the data to say, is this something we're going to grow? Is this something that's going to continue? And we will commit to it for 4 years, but I don't think we can speak yet to what it's going to look like next year. If there was space and it's moving forward and successful, absolutely.
Okay, and what would a studio apprenticeship look like?
This is one where we were sort of looking through the College of Marin, and we were looking at courses that have facilities that San Marin High School might not. And where these are also some hoping that maybe we can take advantage of our community art studios and do something cool with them. A studio apprenticeship might be spending a little bit of time in a community studio or in the College of Marin. That one hasn't been sussed out as much, but the bones of it are taking advantage of facilities that we don't have on the campus, but would like to expose students to.
And I think you could compare that to our intern programs where individual students who are passionate in a certain area, we help them find and get matched to other community resources where they can explore a little bit further than what we might be able to do here on campus in a regular day's class. And so when we're talking through this, it would be opening those options up to some of the art studios. We've talked a lot about glass blowing. We've talked a lot about even kind of, there's some shops, woodworking, metalworking, welding, auto over at College of Marin. How can we get our students some of those experiences through this program? You're on mute, Katie.
Sorry, I got it. I just got it. Would a biotech pathway or a STEAM pathway be better for college?
I don't know if you could answer that one. It's really going to be what the student's passion is. And I will say, if you walk into our engineering and biotech pathways, it is a group of students who are really passionate about those areas of expertise. And so I think you can't go wrong in terms of getting into college or having a good pathway. I think it's just making sure it's the right fit for your student. And Nick, you might want to speak to that because you've experienced it from the classroom setting.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you know that you want to go into biotechnology or microbiology at the college level, biotech's probably the move. If you're applying as a microbiology major and you've got a lot of experience doing microbiology work, that looks really good. If you don't think that biotech is a career path or a major path that you're interested in, it may be less relevant. And then STEAM might be really powerful. I think realistically, students are going to do the best work when they're super inspired and passionate about it. And so if you're super inspired and passionate about the art component, you'll probably do really good work there. If you're super passionate about the biotech component, then you'll probably do really good work there. I don't think there's really a good answer. The reassuring, nice thing is it's probably like, what's going to matter the most is the habits that you grow and the person that you become, and not the college that you go to. Data has shown that the colleges that you apply to are much more impactful for future success than the college that you actually end up attending. Speaking from experience, San Marin's valedictorian a few years ago got a full academic scholarship, a Regent scholarship at UC Berkeley, and he didn't get accepted at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Usually you would assume UC Berkeley is one of the hardest schools to get into, but the process is very, very weird, and different colleges are looking for different things at different times. So I think, it was like, he was a little bit disappointed not to get into Cal Poly, but then he had a full academic scholarship at Berkeley, so he was good. So I think it's kind of a both and. There's not really a bad choice either way, unless you're really clear that you're passionate about one of them. They're both great.
Next question, would you or colleges consider this a step down? My child worked very hard to get into engineering originally because of his interest, but I don't want him to lose out on his opportunity to grow for his knowledge and love for science.
I think that's
yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I think again, that's going to be a very similar answer. I would definitely not consider it a step down. It's very much a lateral move. We see this as 3 very even pathways that just have slightly different emphases. Again, if they're, worked very hard to get into engineering because of his interest. If that interest is in engineering, then engineering is probably the right fit. But if that interest is in artistic expression of engineering principles or of science principles, then that might be an even better option.
Are the classes within the new STEM building? Your science classes will be in the STEM building and your art classes will be in the art classrooms. And what are the art facilities at San Marin like? I haven't.
Let art teachers answer that.
I can hop in on that one. I've been in them for a while. So we are actually neighbors to the STEM building. Before STEM was there, we were all alone in the back by the horses. But we have 3 rooms for the visual arts. We all neighbor each other. And each one kind of has its own character and specifics. Mine's at the far end, in which I usually host the foundation courses. And then we've got the AP and advanced courses in the middle. And then Liz has the room at the end. So we are constantly communicating and keeping each other in the loop of what's going on, making sure everyone's got supplies. And yeah, so we're all a little tight-knit group right next door to STEM.
Yep.
Go ahead.
When you walk out of the hallway of the STEM building, the next 3 doors are art, art, and art. And then we also have a shared space, which is the maker space, where we do some engineering, woodworking, and some artistic woodworking, and metalworking and stuff like that. So we do share some facilities where we need all the power tools for both options.
Again, anyone have any more questions? We have about less than 5 minutes before our Zoom meeting cuts us off. If you want to jump on the chat and let us know, or raise your hand and speak to us, that'd be great. Otherwise, we've recorded this and we can share it with anybody who missed it. And I can also share the slides if you want to share it with your family. Or okay, one more question.
Thank you, Chris. Being at a high school is awesome.
It is.
If any parents want to come back and be teachers, we love community teachers. So,
or aides, or campus supervisors, or all kinds of things. We have so many opportunities for families to be on campus.
We have a lovely staff community in coordination with our parent and student communities.
Look at this, and we're all parents, aren't we?
Oh my gosh, we are. We're all Novato parents. Look at that.
Okay, we have a couple more questions. Looking at the engineering pathway, could a student do principles of engineering on year 1, but then add art electives for the other 3? Nick, do you want to answer that?
Short answer is you can always add on an elective and an additional piece, but no, you cannot substitute out the engineering science electives for an art elective. Similarly, with the STEAM pathway, you have to do your science, you have to do your art. If you're a junior and you wanted to take an additional science elective, that would be feasible. So you could do like your science, which would be chemistry, your art, which is sculpture or reactive arts, I think, and junior year. And then, you could do like AP biology or AP environmental science or physics or something like that. But that would be an add-on, not a replacement of your art. Similarly for engineering, sophomore year, you must do let's see, if it's engineering, you must do the STEM bio, must do the STEM ecology, and then you could add on an art class. It wouldn't be the STEAM art class. It would be our normal elective art and design or sculpture or something like that.
Will we be getting more info before we make our decision? This is kind of the info session. So if you have questions that we haven't answered, now's the time, or you can email me privately and we can answer those questions for you if you need a more thorough response. But we tried to be as thorough as possible with this presentation. I think we did a pretty good job. But if you still need more information, just reach out to us and we can respond before you have to make any decisions. We do have those deadlines after spring break, so we've got a little time. Somebody else said, can you do sports broadcasting elective if you're in this program?
Yeah, similar to what Nick was just saying, is you can always add on to, as long as they have space in their schedule. And I know We have a lot of really amazing courses, both AP and just our elective offerings. And so sometimes it's hard and they have to prioritize. It is, I will say their freshman year is the most specific, meaning there's not a lot of wiggle room in their freshman schedule. But once they hit their sophomore year, there is typically at least one, if not two, opportunities outside of their program to choose from any electives and AP courses that they want. So the answer is yes, you could do sports broadcasting elective in addition to this, but not until your sophomore year or beyond.
Yep. And that is correct. The G portion will be covered 3 times. Well, you'd have your art requirement and your elective G requirement, and then 2 additional arts, plus an extra science. That could be your elective too, because you've got that science elective. Yeah, so you're going to be covered quite a few times over.
The last one is about electives and music and language. And so, yes, this is a good question just to work individually with the counselor. Your first year would not, unless you were doing it after school or one of these 2 outside of San Marin, be able to fit music and language and a pathway in the same year with all of their other requirements. After their freshman year, you certainly could take language and music in addition to the other courses. But if you're interested in that for this year, for the freshman year, yes, we want to have a conversation with the counselor and look at all of your options.
And I think that's about all the time we have. I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut you off. But if you have any additional questions, just send me an email. And I thank everyone
so
for coming
much. It was
tonight.
wonderful to see, and I'm excited that we have this much excitement about this. We certainly are. All right. Good night, everyone.